Hi friends, this is Miss Lissa. And last week you made shadow puppets out of cardboard from old cereal boxes. And today we're going to talk about making stages. But before we do that, I want to talk to you about why do shadow puppets work? So why do shadow puppets work? They work because they bring science together with art, and it comes together to make something really cool. And so when you made a shadow puppet, ta-da, out of an old piece of cereal box, it doesn't let any light come through. So it makes a shadow, also called a silhouette. Nothing comes through. That is called opaque. Opaque doesn't let any light through. And there's also something called transparent. Transparent is like this. Dun-dun-dun-dun. It actually is, this is a piece of plexiglass. It's plastic, I won't break it, but it lets light come through. Almost all light comes through. Windows are transparent. Anything that is almost totally see-through, transparent. And to make a screen for a shadow puppet, instead of just putting the light on the wall, you're going to use something that's in between transparent and opaque. You're going to use something translucent. This is a screen. It's actually a silkscreen screen, but you can see there's light that comes through, but there's light that's blocked. That's translucent, and that's what you're going to need to make your screen. And okay, so in order to make your shadow puppet work, you have to have a light source, an opaque shadow puppet, and something translucent for your stage. And the translucent goes towards the audience. The shadow puppet comes in between the light and the translucent stage. And that's how you can get a really sharp shadow. So let me show you how to make some of these stages. Another way to do a translucent shadow puppet theater is to make it out of a box. Now, you're going to have to need paper, a good sized piece of paper. Sometimes people use, this is wax paper or parchment paper. It's good from baking. Remember, translucent. Once the light shines through, this looks opaque. But once the light shines through, it lets a lot of light through. Don't go too thick on your paper though. And then you're going to need a box. And you've got to make sure that your paper is big enough to cover the box. So that would work. I also have this box too. I kind of like this box better, so I'm going to use this box. On the big side, you're going to cut out the stage part. Make sure that your paper will cover the hole, because if I cut it out too big and all I've got is this, the paper will fall through. So the paper has to be bigger than the hole you cut out. Don't go all the way to the edge of your box, because if you go all the way to the edge of your box won't be strong anymore. It will fall apart. So you want to leave about 2 inches, which is about as long as your finger. Now this is a box cutter. You don't use this. You have to get a grown-up to help you. If you don't have a grown-up to help you, don't do this way. I don't want you to get hurt. But since I'm a grown-up, I'm going to do it. Okay, if you've had a grown-up help you cut out the back of the box, then what you're left with is a frame. And in this space, you're going to cover with your paper. Now, make sure that your paper is the right size. You can see this piece of paper. Oh, it's too small. So if your paper is too small, you're going to have to use more than one. That's okay. But it's best to make sure that your paper fits. And you want your paper to fit the whole box cover. And the way that I tape this in is I put it on the inside of the box, and then I use masking tape along the inside edge. So once you have your box and you've got your piece of paper taped in it, and you can make this all sorts of fancy. You can paint it, you can collage on it, you can put something on top. But how do you keep it from falling over? You could have someone just hold it for you, but that's kind of awkward. So you can tape it down, you can put bricks in the back so it doesn't fall over, but what I like to use are clamps. Not everybody has some, but if you do, they work really well clamping it to the table. And so I'm going to take this, I'm going to clamp it to the back of my table. Now here's something I did not show you before in my last video. We taped the stick right to the back of this, and that is a really great way to make this guy flip back and forth. But this one I'm going to show you a different way to tape a stick on. This time I have bamboo sticks, and instead of just taping it to the back, I'm going to show you how to make a tab. Now you would take a piece of tape, pull it about, I would say about 6 inches long. You're going to cut that. And then you put your stick on and you fold it over. And you want to leave a gap. Do you see that? It doesn't get quite to the top. And then you pinch the whole thing down. So you have this little flappy part. And the reason why you want a gap at the top is because that is what I'm going to tape. I'll tape them on this side. That is what I'm going to tape to the back of my shadow puppet. I'll show you how that works. You take another piece of tape, and just where this flappy bit is over, I put that tape on top like a T, and I put that down. Oops, it's too big. Rip it off there. I put that down, and then my stick can come up, can flap up. And then I'm going to put tape on this side too. Just a little baby piece so I don't cover that. This one I cut out the little hand. So I'm going to put another baby piece there. And what that does is it lets my stick be held sideways. I'm going to show you how they look different in shadow puppetry. Okay, friends, so I've got my translucent screen on my box clamped to the table. I've got this light, and I've got some shadow puppets. I've got the kind that I did last week, that it's rigid held to the back, and I've got my new tab kind. So this guy, I've got a little bit more movement, and I'll show you how this works. So you want to turn your light on from the back? Here I've got my two puppets. And first the tab. And here comes the rigid puppet. Why outside for so long? I'm having a great time. I'm just playing a game. You could even start to play with hands. Oh, look out! The hand's coming to get us. So you could do your animals. And there's so much you can do. We're gonna talk about stories next week. We're gonna talk about props. We're gonna talk about playing around with light a little more and putting it all together. You can go ahead of us. You can go ahead and experiment and do all sorts of cool things. Once you do it, show me what you made. Upload it onto Seesaw. I can't wait to see it. All right, friends, good luck. Shadow puppetry, screens, opaque, translucent. Hooray! Bye, friends.